Now, President Trump announces a trade deal with one of America's biggest allies.
This comes as the Federal Reserve issues a warning about tariff uncertainty.
And it is foggy out there this morning, dealing with lots of cloud coverage as well. Now, we are going to see breaks of sunshine throughout the day today. We'll talk about your Thursday forecast coming up in just a bit.
Plus, Fayetteville police say that local artwork is helping to stop vandalism. Coming up, we'll show you how they say it's making a difference.
First, a live look outside of Fort Smith. Man, it is foggy at 6:30 this morning. Visibility low in that area. 5 News This Morning starts now.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News This Morning.
Well, that live shot right there in Fort Smith give you an idea of what it's looking like out there this morning. I know driving in overnight, it was foggy. It's even worse now.
Yeah, it was pretty bad when I came in too. And so definitely take your time out there on the roads this morning because it is freaky when you're driving out there and you can't see a thing. It's a little eerie.
Yeah, it's a little eerie. This is the type of fog that sometimes gives me a little nerves as well because you have just no idea what's about to come up ahead of you. So use a little extra time out there this morning. Good news is by the time we get, let's say, around 8, 9 o'clock, most of it has already burned off there. So you see anywhere waking up this morning, at least it's gloomy out there, if not dealing with some low visibility as well. I mean, you see there in Springdale, can't even see the road there. Poto, you're seeing that fog there as well. Fayetteville, Bentonville as well. So no matter where you're waking up this morning, dealing with a little bit of that low visibility, that cloud coverage going to hang around throughout most of the day today as well. Dense fog advisory continues until 9 a.m. Again, after that, I think most of that visibility has cleared up by then, but we'll still be dealing with a lot of that cloud coverage as well. Here's a look at the current state of things. Again, we've been improving across Northwest Arkansas, but digressing across parts of the River Valley as well. 0 miles of visibility there in Fort Smith. You just saw that camera a second ago, and it's not looking good out there right now when it comes to that visibility. 0 in Sallisaw, 7 there in Fayetteville, 8 in Bentonville. That's not bad considering that the perfect amount of visibility is right around 10 miles. So improving in other places across Northwest Arkansas. Now, when it comes to how long this fog is going to stick around, again, around that 9 a.m. hour before we should be clear the rest of the day. Northwest Arkansas going to be topping out into those upper 60s and low 70s. That cloud coverage starts to burn off by the time, let's say, we get to the afternoon a little bit, but not by much. Across the River Valley, those low 70s for us today. Against a few spotty showers will be possible, but it's just not going to be widespread. Let's get a check of traffic out there this morning. Here's a live look out across parts of I-540 crossing over Rogers Avenue. Good morning to you there. You see that fog out there this morning. Not great visibility. Use a little extra time. As of right now, no accidents, so we're in good shape.
All right, thanks for that, Stephen. It is 6:32 here locally, and now we're taking a live look at the Vatican in Vatican City, where the search for a new pope resumes today. Now, this morning we saw black smoke emerging, signaling no decision during this round of votes.
133 cardinals will be back inside the Sistine Chapel casting votes later today. Now, there really is no time frame on when a pope will be chosen. The time frame varies based on the time frame of past pope elections, though. Some are saying a new pope could be chosen by today or tomorrow, with multiple rounds of votes happening. The latest round has people feeling confident that we're getting closer.
2 ballots in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. I think things usually shake out on that third ballot. Then you really have a sense of who are the contenders, who has the momentum.
The new pontiff must receive a 2/3 majority in order to become the next pope. These are people they believe are the front runners. The last 3 popes have been elected within 2 days of voting. If no new pontiff is chosen soon, the cardinals are expected to pause the conclave for a day of prayer and discussion.
All the cardinals can be elected as a pope. But however, what I do know, among these 133, we will have 1.
At St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in Rogers, parishioners there gathered for a special Mass to pray for the conclave. A father there saying that the Mass was part of a worldwide effort to pray for the cardinals who are making the decision. They say it's important for the Catholic community to remain in prayer because only the Holy Spirit knows who the next pope will be. They say keep in mind that the new pontiff will not replace Pope Francis, but instead will be a successor of St. Peter. Well, in Tennessee, in other news, 3 former Memphis police officers have been acquitted of all state charges, including second-degree murder in the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols after he ran away from a traffic stop. Nichols' 2023 death sparked nationwide protests and prompted renewed calls for police reform. The 3 officers, though, still face the prospect of years in prison after they were convicted of federal charges last year.
Well, jury selection continues in the trial against Sean Diddy Combs. In its 3rd day, nearly 40 potential jurors were selected. Each were questioned one-on-one by the presiding judge. Their qualifications are being weighed to determine whether they can serve. Well, this morning, President Trump has announced a major trade deal with one of the country's biggest allies as talks are beginning to form with China. Now, this comes as the Federal Reserve is once again holding interest rates steady, citing fears of an economic downturn. Jared Hill has the latest.
Today at the White House, a step towards stabilizing trade. This morning on social media, President Trump announced a full and comprehensive deal with the United Kingdom. This year, President Trump slapped a 10% tariff on most British imports. The apparent progress as the U.S. and China prepare for their first face-to-face.
I will be going to Switzerland, and the negotiations will begin on Saturday.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Congress those talks still in the earliest stages. President Trump swearing in his new ambassador to China on Wednesday.
Say hello to President Xi when you're over there, please.
Defended his approach.
We were losing $5 billion plus a day on trade.
They should have an exemption process that's not punitive.
Linda Dolan runs a small business out of her home in Minnesota, selling these tiny reflective markers she designed to keep outdoor enthusiasts on the right path.
Can you see them?
Because of the tariffs, she says she can't afford to bring in a new shipment.
It's like, I was shocked.
Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position.
Just yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell held interest rates again at 4.25% to 4.5%, citing tariff uncertainty and warning they'll likely raise prices and slow the economy.
The uncertainty of tariffs means that they've got to be careful to wait and see whether or not inflation is going to rear its ugly head again.
It's already hitting the auto industry. Ford announced price hikes on 3 models made in Mexico. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Well, a federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit aiming to make Arkansas's GOP primary open only to registered Republicans. The AP reporting the lawsuit had been filed by some delegates from the state Republican Party's convention last year. The lawsuit came from delegates at the convention voting to allow only registered GOP voters to participate in the party's primary. But the party's executive committee nullified that proposal in July. A district judge said that federal court was not the right venue to take up the dispute. Well, for the 3rd time, Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin has rejected a ballot language for a proposed constitutional amendment.
It was brought by the Arkansas League of Women Voters and centers on reforming the state's ballot initiative process.
Some of them have been fair, some of them probably not been agreed with, but fortunately, we've started this process, a year and a half before the signatures are due. This is our 4th submission. We will have changed everything that he has wanted us to change. We will have addressed every issue.
Well, if it makes it onto the ballot and is passed by voters, the ballot initiative would block lawmakers from amending voter-approved constitutional amendments, require the Attorney General to approve ballot titles on a deadline, and make it easier to gather signatures. Well, early voting is underway for school and special elections in Arkansas this week. 5 News has you covered with a guide to voting sites, times, and issues on the ballot. You can text the word VOTE to 479-785-5000, and we'll send you a link to our website. Election Day is May 13th.
Well, this morning, police in Fayetteville say public art may be playing a pretty big role in reducing graffiti.
They're seeing fewer tags in areas where local artists have created murals. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley joins us live with what they believe is driving that change. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. Fayetteville police say that they've seen this make a big difference all across the nation and right here in Fayetteville. They say that there are some locations where they may have been frequently targeted with graffiti, and as soon as local artwork went up, they saw a night and day difference in the amount of that happening. From colorful walls around town to decorated utility boxes to art along public trails, community art is popping up across Fayetteville. And police say Those have been placed in areas like the wall along Nelson Hackett Boulevard and at the pump station building at Poplar and the trail crossing. Those used to be common targets for tagging. Well, now that there's local art there instead, they've seen a drop in incidents. They credit community-supported art for making those would-be vandals think twice.
There's no telling really where or why people choose to deface other people's property. And we do see, artists put a really nice mural or piece of art on a location. I think that there is a reluctance by people who maybe are tagging for artistic purposes to go and deface that artist's work. That's something that they've really worked hard on.
Police say they're continuing to work with local artists and with community departments to continue putting more of these murals in those commonly targeted areas. Live in Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.